Like 1 minute before you walk in. Okay, maybe 2.
Alright, so ready to start. I just want to say thank you everyone for being here so much. It really means everything to me that all of you guys can be here. My senior exhibition has been something that I have thought about since freshman year. I always wanted to bring my dirt bike and like have it be completely dirt bike themed, and it obviously isn't, but I still brought my dirt bike to show you guys. So yeah. But anyways, oh my god. Okay, so first I wanted to start with my quintessence and my quote. And so it says, for my quote, we are all looking for answers in medicine, in life, in everything. Sometimes the answers we get just lead to more questions, and sometimes, no matter how much we want them, the answers just aren't there. But the real truth is we don't change. We don't grow, not unless we hurt, not unless we fall. And sometimes that's what it takes, because pain is the only thing that forces us to grow. But once you come out the other side, and once you survive it, you realize that you're stronger than you ever thought you could be. You're not the same person anymore. You've changed, you've grown, and maybe that's the point. And that quote's by Meredith Grey from my favorite show ever, of course. And so I wrote a little bit of an analysis on this, and it says that this passage touches on the universal human desire for certainty and understanding. You see, this quote is more than just growing through pain, but it's also acknowledging the frustrations through unanswered questions and uncertainty. In my own life, I tend to dwell a lot on like the unknown and the unanswered questions, and that really can be overwhelming for me. But just like this quote talks about growth, I feel like I've grown too. Not despite the uncertainty, but through it. What stands out the most, though, is the part about pain being what actually makes us grow, right? It's a hard truth to accept. I mean, we all want to become better versions of ourselves, right? But that kind of growth doesn't really happen in life when it's all smooth sailing. It usually comes through this tough stuff, the moments that challenge us and break us down a little. And the wild thing is, we are all shaped by those experiences. Every single person in this room has gone through things, some big and some small, that have made them who they are today. And most of you didn't even know each other existed until this exact moment. Yet somehow, all of our different paths, choices, and stories led us to be here right now. It's kind of amazing when you think about it, how so many little things had to come together to make this moment happen. We all go through difficult things, and what I'm trying to bring to light is that something good can come out of something bad. And I know that better than everyone, you know? And it's kind of a beautiful thing. And then I wanted to talk about my painting. So I painted this, and it's not just a cat on a field, and I do have the painting up there if anyone wants to see it. But the cat, for me, represents like my solitude and my enjoyment for being alone, because I think that that's something a lot of people really struggle with, is being alone. And it's good to be able to find peace within yourself, and I feel like especially in the last couple of years I've really learned how to be dependent on myself. And so anyways, the clouds and hills represent the beauty of life. I think that life is a beautiful thing to have, even if it's not materialistic or anything like that. It's just, yeah. And so then the flowers represent my accomplishments, and just like my tree over there kind of represents also my accomplishments, and I will pass it around, but yeah, we'll get to that later. So now I want to touch on some of my best and worst work from high school. So it's hard to specifically look back at one assignment and be like, yup, that's the worst one, because I think every assignment I've ever done has ultimately hit highs and lows. Some assignments have hit the criteria but not creativity. Some have had well put thought into it but not good work to show for it, and vice versa. I've never really looked at a specific grade on an assignment and taken it for the class as a whole. And if I'm being honest, grades have never really stressed me out, because at the end of the day, a grade wasn't the end-all be-all. the end-all be-all would be failing a class, and thankfully I've been lucky enough to not have experienced that. Now, I'm not saying that you should have the mindset of just passing a class is enough, because that isn't, but I'm saying it's important to value your time too. It's important to take a step back and let the thought come back to you. And as a professional procrastinator, I can say it's always worked out for me, so it'll probably work out for you guys too. As most of us experience, I found myself very often getting overwhelmed at assignments that require you to put a lot of thought and effort into. So what do I do to fix this? The most important thing I've learned is that communication gets you a really, really long way in life. You know, whether it's apologizing or expressing your feelings, or even just asking for help, you know. It's okay to ask for extra time as long as you're utilizing it. Sometimes you can't find the right words or get a good idea for the assignment, and it's important to take a step back and come back to it later. Don't force yourself to turn it into something not worthy enough of a good grade if you know you can do better. So, now, what do I exactly think my best work is? I can't specifically say that this assignment was better than everything else I've done, but I can say that it was one of the most difficult and most enjoyable assignments I've ever done. So it was for English 12 and the Art of Inquiry, and it was the literature review by Mr. Jones is the one who actually assigned it. This assignment was such a pain in the ass. It was such a cool assignment to do, but I didn't even know what literature reviews were before even doing this assignment. It's kind of amazing how you can always learn new things even after being a senior in high school. Like, you still are learning new assignments. And so anyways, this is the one I chose for my best work because I just put so much time and effort into it. I wrote about a specific moderation in a game I like to play and why I thought it was bad. I had to use video, literature, and opinionated sources to form a well-informed view on the subject. Some of the things I honestly really enjoyed about this was that you got to write about anything you wanted to. You didn't have to read a book against your will or write about why our generation is the worst because of phones. It was whatever you wanted. It opens a lot of doors to creativity and opens thoughts on things that you may not have even thought about before. And I can say that thinking about a moderation in a game I like to play, I've never really thought about it, and it's kind of crazy how many closed doors there are behind it. But anyways, so this assignment is also something that I genuinely think would be useful for my education in the future, since literature reviews are common to write in college. Overall, this assignment taught me a lot of things, and I think it also taught me that it's possible to do complex new things. I think the only thing I disliked about this assignment is just how tedious it was, but this assignment is a great example of stepping back and taking the moment to let it come back to me. So, now my worst work, and I do have it up there also if you guys would like to see it. But so ironically, in American Studies, which is also an English class, I lacked a consistently good mindset. This made the class as a whole very difficult for me. And I could sit here and name off everything that I disliked about this class, but that wouldn't do anyone any good. What I will say I specifically struggled with was the teacher's way of teaching, and I think that that could affect anybody's work ethic. I struggled a lot with understanding what was being asked of me, and also it felt like there was a lot of bias in the class. Like, I think I talked more about politics in this class than I did in government. But anyways, there were a lot of downs for me in this class, and one assignment that I wanted to specifically touch on was the Great Gatsby project. I've always loved writing and recently reading too, but reading a book written in 1925, and excuse my language, was fucking difficult. I'm not saying it's not important to be educated on old American literature, but I still stand on my opinion that this quite literally felt like one of the biggest wastes of my time ever. I spent a lot of time on the final project, and you know, it was the end of the year. I'd finished all my SATs and ACTs, and you know, I was ready to get out. And you know, I think the main thing I lacked on this project wasn't just my mindset, but it was my communication. What I did was write a script for these two characters. I wrote the whole thing myself, but then I asked AI to rewrite it into the form of the book, and I failed to communicate to my teacher. When she saw my final product, she thought that I cheated. So she failed me, and I had to handwrite an essay. East Mountain has taught me a lot about what good work looks like, and I was on the other side of the spectrum when it came to learning about how much work to output instead of input. One thing I've learned since freshman year is lower expectations make at least me more proud of myself because I usually tend to surpass those expectations. So, yeah. Anyways, so now I wanted to talk about my senior experience. So, East Mountain's class of 2025 has been known as the experiment class, with new discoveries, classes, and school schedules. Basically, my class was a lot of East Mountain's firsts. The senior experience was a first for everyone. The class was a rather interesting class to me. Instead of the strict curricular schedule and having daily and even weekly assignments, we decided what we wanted to do. The sky's the limit. I was surprised and honestly confused on how this class worked and what was really being asked of me. I made my literal schedule for the next 5 months. I chose how many assignments I tasked myself with doing. I noticed rather quickly that people were choosing their project based on similar interests relating to their future majors and or careers. And so, you're probably thinking I decided to do something related to nursing, hunting, or of course my whole personality, motocross. That's all I talk about. But I actually didn't, and chose something a lot more, I guess responsible is the word I'm looking for. So, I chose to get hired as a server, working part-time to save as much money as I could and as quickly as I could. My idea for this was essentially getting prepared for college. This summer, I'm moving out and going to ultimately have to support myself more than ever before. I think the idea of having to support myself financially is scary. It's scary to think that I may have to be at a point where asking for help is inevitable, and as most of you know, I don't really like asking for help. I have a love-hate relationship with money. It's been something that, for a very long time, has stressed me out. For a very long time, I've looked over the counter to see how much someone is paying for me. Their time and work is going towards me. Sometimes I just bite the inner corners of my cheeks to stop myself from apologizing for asking for something. I'm very grateful for absolutely everything I have, but that's not to say that I don't realize the kind of hard work people put in to be able to help me accomplish the things I need and want. So, anyways, my goal was to save $1,000, and I think it's funny and brutal at how little $1,000 actually really gets you, because I really genuinely thought $1,000 was so much, but it really isn't, guys. It really isn't.
Hardly. High school done. That's all we need to know.
So I ended up actually surpassing my amount and saving around $1,600, and it's weird because before this, despite having other jobs, I never even had like $900 in my account. Money is confusing and paydays are more so. Money doesn't buy you happiness, quoted by Gertrude Stein. I've always disliked that quote because I actually disagree. It may not buy you happiness directly, but it certainly improves your quality of life. The ability to afford comfort, experiences, and even peace of mind, those things really matter. Whenever I'm going on trips or shopping or out on a date, there's a quiet satisfaction in knowing I can afford the things I need or want. It's not about being materialistic, no, it's about the freedom and stability that financial security brings. I think money does improve your quality of life because I definitely don't stress out about it as much as I used to. The one issue I keep facing is that it's never enough for me. I have a constant worry that when I stop working, I won't be able to afford specific bills or groceries. But I have to think that I'm not the only college kid worrying about that now, right? How does this relate to my senior experience? Well, my mentor and also my boyfriend helped me realize that money is superficial, and the memories of going snowboarding with him and his sister and getting takeout Garcias, because that's all I like to eat, is worth more than the stress. It is. And Joseph taught me that. He told me that memories that'll last you an entire life are worth far more than losing $50 on a ski pass. So I guess I initially went into this believing that saving money would rid me of my problems, but actually, it made me realize that money doesn't erase challenges. It just changes the type of problems you face. Instead of stressing over whether I can afford something, now I think more about how I'm spending and what's worth investing in and how to balance enjoying life and being responsible. It gave me clarity, not freedom from all worry, but clarity. One that comes from knowing I'm in control, even if life isn't perfect. Money still stresses me out, but the excitement of seeing my bank account grow every 2 weeks is satisfying, and I have to say that I'm incredibly proud of the hard work I've put in to earn this much. So, now, I want to move on to the tree of memories, and you guys can vote to either pass it around, or I will just leave it up here so you guys can see it closer, but you guys feel free to also pass it around. I made this tree out of chicken wire and cardboard, and it took me a very long time, but it's pretty cool. So, yeah, anyways, so I started riding when I was just 4 years old. 4. I learned out on some man-made track off the side of a road in Rio Rancho. That's what started it all. That's what made me become who I am today. When I started riding, I started off with training wheels on my little PW. And when I started to learn to ride without them, my dad would attach a tie-down strap to the back of my bike and hold on to it. Somehow that worked. My dad is what started it all for me. But if someone was to ask me where I get my strength from, I probably wouldn't say my dad, at least not right away. I mean, this is the same guy who once hit a boulder while riding on the track and made me bring it to him just so he could see it. At that moment, I was honestly like, there's no way I'm related to this man. But anyways, so anyways, a year later, I was racing now, and for a very long time, I wasn't really competitively into the sport. Think of it more like a Sunday joyride. When I was younger, it was more of a thing I did because my older brother did it, so it was automatically cool. But once I started racing my 65, it started to open a new world for me, a world where I wanted to win and be the best. 65s were an interesting time for me because I can't even think back to a moment where I didn't think I was the shit. I was a little cocky for an 11-year-old. If I'm being completely honest, there weren't really any super memorable times for me from then, but I did meet a lot of family around this time. Family who's more like family than some of my actual real blood. Isn't that a funny thing? I grew really fast and didn't have my 65 for long because of that. So what did I do? So what did my dad do, is what she's saying. He bought me a brand new, never ridden before KTM 85, 2020. And that was it. That was the bike that made me fall in love with racing. I wish that I had become more competitive younger, because I think I would be in a much different position today. But I don't regret how any of it worked out. Well, I guess that's not true. I do regret a lot of things. But before we get there, let me explain. Riding on an 85 was a completely different level of riding. It's not just you going out riding, it's you and your bike. I broke my collarbone, and it was probably one of the most annoying ones I've broken, seriously. I didn't even know your collarbone had so many uses. And when I broke it, I think my dad looked worse than I did. He probably would have passed out first if I hadn't beaten him to it. So my first broken bone, it was out of the way. I healed and got back to it. I told my dad I wanted to go all in and get good, and I mean really good. I wanted to be the next level. And so I did. I started training with an amazing mentor who dedicated his time to show me proper form, technique, etc. I spent a lot of my time literally riding around in a circle looking like a diseased animal, but it seriously worked. A lot of days I didn't want to go. A lot of days I cried, but my dad kept pushing me. Loretta Lynn's was my dream, a prestigious amateur national where only the best of the best compete. I chased that dream for 3 years and made it shy by 1 spot every year. And that's riding. So anyways, sometime in between all of this, my dad got me a KTM 150. And this is still the bike I ride today. My 150 is an amazing bike, and I've had many memories with my bike. For most of you in this room, it's hard to understand what it's like to have such a deep connection with an inanimate object, but I wish some of you could understand just a portion of what that's like. You see, riding isn't just what a lot of people think it is. It's not just about getting on a bike and going as fast as you can. It's a lot of hard work, both physically and mentally. And speaking of mentally, I want to talk about 2023. In January of 23, I went racing and my dad was on a hunt and my mom had stayed home. I went just to have fun. And if I'm being honest, it was a nice break to have no expectations for a race and just have fun. But I stupidly followed my friend up a jump. He had a 450 four-stroke, and those bikes have a completely different mechanism than mine. So I hit the jump and immediately knew I was in a bad position. I had overjumped it, and that's arguably worse than underjumping. And I broke my wrist in 2 places and needed surgery. This injury had set me back from months of progress, but not only that, but it caused me a lot of pain. So what did I do? I got a wrist brace and kept riding, of course. And throughout that year, I had become the best I had ever been. I mean, I was flying. The feeling of just letting go of everything and having not a thought in the world, it's something that comes by rare for me. But during this time, that came by every time I swung my leg over my bike. I felt proud and confident. And there's so many words I can't even begin to describe how I felt because it was truly a beautiful experience. It's like I was on autopilot, letting my bike control every movement in my body. Riding did a lot for me. One thing it didn't do for me was bring me stress. That it didn't do. But in December of 2023, my dad and mom went out hunting, ironically, and there was a local race. So I went to it because why not? And on practice day, I decided to ride the unprepped track. No flaggers, no people, riders, or anything. This is one of the moments I regret most in my life. Because that second lap, I hit a jump and suddenly I'm on the ground. I thought my ribs were broken, but it was actually my partially collapsed lung. Before I knew it, I was on the back of a Can-Am and my Aunt Nay was there. I remember being scared. I was really, really scared. So I got to the hospital and luckily we were able to get a hold of my parents and they were on their way. I had broken my pelvis in 3 places and my lower back in 4. I was in the hospital for 3 days. A lot of you are wondering what I did after this. I did what I always do. I pushed myself to get better. I was on the bike in less than 4 months. I regret that. I regret forcing myself to get back to it so soon. I thought I would be the same, but what I didn't know that came with a traumatic injury like that was PTSD. I was scared and stressed. It wasn't easy, in fact, it was very painful for me. And I felt like I had lost a huge part of my life. Every time I'd ride, I'd lie to myself and everyone around me that I'm feeling better, because I wasn't. I'd say that this is the first time since my crash that I wasn't afraid, or this is the first time since my crash that I actually had fun. But that was a blatant lie, and that was something I was trying to convince myself to believe. Instead of ending the day with wanting to go back out the next weekend, I thanked God for keeping me safe and was relieved it was over. I went from riding every weekend to riding once every couple months now. The mindset I have, or had, just wasn't a way for me to live. It's no way for anyone to live. I don't know if I'll ever love riding the way I once did, but I guess that shows that I'm afraid I have something to lose. I won't stand here and lie to you all in this room that it doesn't scare me, but I also believe that moto will always be a part of who I am. I hope I can have the passion for it again, and maybe one day I will. But I've come to learn that it's okay to take my time. It's okay to be scared, and it's okay to admit that I'm still figuring it out. What matters is that I'm here, and I'm still trying and I haven't given up. Maybe I ride less now, but I've grown more than I ever thought I would. And hey, even with everything I've been through, I'm still faster than my dad. So I guess I haven't lost everything. I also want to thank my mom and dad for all the sacrifices that they have made for me for riding, and I know that it wasn't easy for you guys. I mean, my parents have spent thousands upon thousands of dollars for me to achieve my dreams, and if it wasn't for them, I would not be where I am now, so thank you. So now, moving on to a letter to my future self. So, to my future self, there's a lot you want in life right now, Anaiya. You want to be successful, accomplish things, and become someone who you can really be proud of. You want to be an amazing nurse, and you want that fiery passion for riding that you once had again. You want to not only be kinder to the world, but to yourself. I can't promise that you'll be happy or things will turn out the way you want them to, but I can hope that you'll try. I can hope that you'll push yourself to be the person you want to be and do the things you want to do. I can hope that you start living in the moment more and that you succeed in your own way. I don't know exactly what my future holds. I guess none of us do, but I think we all have an idea of what we want it to look like. Sometimes it's hard to find the beauty in things that make us sad, but we have to hope something good will come of it. Right now it feels like time is moving so fast. In fact, if I'm being completely honest, it's hard to keep up with it right now. It's hard to see my life changing in a multitude of ways. I wonder if that'll ever change. I wonder what my future will look like. Will it feel like time is moving so fast 5 years from now, maybe 10? Will you come to terms with that and appreciate that the short life you're given is maybe not so short, but it's so long it goes by fast? Now see, I think our lives are very short. I feel like we don't live in the moment enough. We don't appreciate things enough. It feels like I never have enough time in the day, the week, the year. Even when I'm not busy, I still feel like I never have enough time. I have random moments of sonder when I realize that I exist so everything can. When you're born into the world, so is it born into you. I often think about nostalgic things like walking home from the bus stop and having not a care in the world. Will this time in high school not just become a now memory but a nostalgic one too? Or is it just relatable for your childhood? I wonder what you'll think about. It's hard to comprehend that you're going to change so much in the span of just a couple of years. I think about how much I've changed in just these 4. My perspective on life, time, and morals has changed in many ways. If somebody had told me the person I am now 4 years ago, I literally would have laughed and simply thought it was a joke. But see, the thing is, it's not a joke. It is who I am. I'm better for it. So that begs the question, I wonder what I'll believe in. Will you be at peace with yourself and others? Will you? Will the things that feel so heavy now feel light in your future hands? It's strange how growth sneaks up on you, how one day you just wake up differently. Not completely, just more you. My point of this letter to my future self is to never stop wondering. Don't stop wondering what the future holds, because that's the thing that gives us hope, the thing that keeps us going, the next part. I wonder about a lot of things, and I hope that some of the questions I have will be answered one day. And one day I wonder what you'll make of this moment, the moment that I'm living in right now. Will it feel bittersweet, or will it just feel sad? Will you be able to tell the difference between worrying and simply wondering? Because right now it seems like you spend a lot of your time caught in worry, then lost in curiosity. Still, I hope you're happy, truly. So, this is one last thing, my goodbye speech. And I'm not promising you guys that I'm not going to start crying because, oh my god, this makes me so sad.
That means it meant something.
Yeah. So, this is my goodbye speech. Change. It's always been something I hate. It's unpredictable, unfamiliar, and often very uncomfortable. I've never been someone who welcomes it with open arms. In fact, if I'm being completely honest, I've spent much of my life trying to avoid it. I cling to routine and find comfort in the steady rhythm of what I know. Because in a world that shifts so quickly, the familiar feels safe. It feels like home. And for a person who's lacked the feeling of having a consistently peaceful home, I have to say that that's not really something I feel often. But now things are different. I'm 18, and yes, I was very emotional on my birthday. But I'm an adult now. I got accepted into nursing school. I'm moving into my own apartment. I'm graduating high school. Everything in my life is shifting. And as exciting as that sounds, it's also really overwhelming. I'm transitioning into what I see as a world that's a little bit colder and infinitely more complicated. And seriously, what are back taxes anyways? What I'm basically saying is there's about to be a whole lot of change in my life. What a lot of people don't see is how scared I am. I'm scared to move on. I'm scared that I'll lose the sensation of what it's like to be a kid. I'm scared that one day I'll wake up and realize all those small, meaningful moments are just memories now, ones I can't get back. I'm scared that I won't get back the things I once had before. Even though that may be true, I guess that's just part of growing up, right? Learning to let go of what was, even when it hurts, and trying to find something meaningful in what comes next. Maybe the scariest part is not knowing what's next. All we can do is learn to trust that something beautiful can come next, even if we can't quite picture it yet. I'm not going to stand here and lie to you all about how excited I am to graduate and move on with my life. Because honestly, it's something that scares me. Going through high school hasn't been easy, and I won't stand here and say that these were the best years of my life, but I will say that they were some of the most important. Because truthfully, they have been. And even as each semester passes and I move up a grade, it still feels uncomfortable, like I'm not fully ready for what's next. And if I'm being honest, that feeling never really goes away. But what I can say is I'm a much better person now than I would have ever been being somewhere else. This place, the teachers, the mentors I've had, have genuinely helped me, made me face parts of myself I used to avoid, and helped me grow into someone I can actually be proud of. East Mountain has taught me work ethic and what it means to really, and I mean really, accomplish things. So if I could give one reminder to everyone here, it would be this. Take a step back, breathe, and pay attention to the little moments, because the little moments are the big ones. When I stopped worrying about what others thought of me, about how many friends I had or what people saw on the outside, I realized I was so much happier. Don't always chase the bigger picture. Look at the smaller one, the one filled with laughter, quietness, spontaneous conversations, and tiny victories. Those are the ones that stick. Those are the ones that matter. And before I go, I want to leave you guys with a quote from Grey's Anatomy again. And it says, "So do it. Decide. Is this the life you want to live? Is this the person you want to love? Is this the best you can be? Can you be stronger, kinder, more compassionate? Decide. Breathe in, breathe out, and decide." I hate this part. The next part, the goodbye part, is hard. That's it. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for being here so much again. I really appreciate it. It means everything to me that you guys come.
And that tree is incredible.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.